Islam is protected by knowledge. It is just knowledge. You
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبك نستعين اللهم يسر ولا تؤثر الحمد لله ثم الحمد لله. We thank Allah for this day and we seek His blessings and salutation upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There is this trending argument on social media about drumming and dancing in Islam. Today, we are going to delve deeply into the Islamic knowledge to talk about the permissibility of that in Islam, and we are doing this with Sheikh Muhammad Rodwan Sabti. Sheikh, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Naam, Sheikh, you are welcome to Juf Media.
Thank you very much.
Naam, Sheikh, today, before we delve into our main topic, Sheikh, what is haram? When we say haram in Islam, what is haram, Sheikh?
Okay. بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ثم الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه الأخيار أما بعد.
No.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu to all the viewers
Salam.
and listeners across the world.
Naam.
Of course, even discussing the topic without this question, we would have to use this question as the introduction, because as we've always been doing in our programs, we like to lay carpets, because normally people do not even understand certain rulings they ascribe to certain things.
Yeah.
Somebody they say this is haram, this is halal, this is bid'ah, this is that. No, if you ask the person what is bid'ah, what is haram, what is halal, they don't really know what it is that they are ascribing to, which is not fair in Islam. And so it is expedient that we don't just explain even haram. Haram doesn't stand independent of itself.
No.
It comes in a group of rulings, what we call the al-ahkam al-shar'iyya al-taklifiyya, or al-ahkam al-taklifiyya al-shar'iyya, the Sharia rulings. In the Sharia rulings, we have the al-ahkam al-wad'iyya, which is whether a particular deal is accurate or wrong. It is just two angles of a thing. So you sign a contract, you tie a marriage knot, all this stuff, you pray. Is the salat sahih, or is the salat right or wrong? Those kind of things. Did you do ablution? If you didn't do ablution, then the salat is wrong. The ablution, did you do it right? What makes it wrong and right? Those angles of 2 points. Those are the al-ahkam al-wad'iyya. But then when we come to the al-ahkam taklifiyya, that has to do with actions, the actions of the servants of Allah. Whatever you do, it falls in one of 5 rulings. Those are the rulings that we call al-ahkam al-taklifiyya, al-shar'iyya, of course. These rulings are 5. We have the 2 extremes. We have the 2 extreme ends of the rulings, and then we have some in the middle. And at the extreme end, we have what we call the wajib, and the extreme end to the left, we have what we call the haram. So it's either the thing is compulsory upon you to do, or the thing is prohibited for you to do. But right from the wajib, you get what we call the mustahab, or the thing is mandub. It is advised for you to do. It is nice. It is preferred. So normally we hear awanga mustahabbini, awanga mustahabbini. Bimana, the thing is preferred for us to do. When you do it, you'll be rewarded. When you don't do it, there is no punishment. And then we have when you come from the haram aspect, we have what is makruh. It is disliked. So what is disliked? If you consistently do it with no care, you are likely to fall into sin. but not just doing it. Basically, something being makruh and you doing it doesn't make you sinful. And in the middle of them, you have what is just mubah. So the thing is just allowed. It doesn't have any angle. It's just allowed. If you want to do it, if you don't want to, leave it. So how does Sharia communicate? When you find a verse of command, when Sharia requires something from us, either Sharia will say, do this or leave it. In all that, it is a request, what we call talab. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala communicates to us through the Quran, the Sunnah. In all, do this, don't do that. Do this, don't do that. All of them, they are requests. This request is either you are requested to stop with emphasis. I tell you to stop and I emphasize on it. That makes the thing haram. Or I tell you to do it and I emphasize on it. That makes it wajib. Or I tell you to stop and I don't emphasize on it. That makes it just makruh. I tell you to do it, I don't emphasize on it. That makes it mustahab. So realize that when Sharia communicates something and Sharia emphasizes on it, whether with punishment, if you don't do this, I'll punish you, it means that doing it is compulsory.
Yeah.
When Sharia says, if you do this, I'll punish you, it means that if you do it, it is haram. But when Sharia basically throws something, doing this, something like kulu min tayyibati ma razaqnakum, kulu, they eat, you find them to just be something that if I choose to eat this way or I don't eat, or it's nothing that really affects the Sharia. So stuff like that, those are just advice for us to do. Those are the mustahabbat. And then the mubah in the middle. And so you find a qaida where the scholars of usul, they say kullu shay'in mubah hatta yanzil fi tahrim. Even though the mubah is in the middle, permissible, everything is it means permissible. You find that what is wajib is permissible. What is mustahab is permissible. What is mubah is permissible. What is makruh is permissible. But then what is haram is what is not permissible. So they say that kullu shay'in mubah hatta yanzilu fihi tahrim. Everything is as permissible, not that everything is you are told to do everything, but everything is permissible unless you find a Sharia provision saying the thing is haram. What we are suffering from, as we always indicate, and we pray people get conscientized on this particular thing. People throw the haram freely. I don't know where that particular misunderstanding started, but then people started making almost everything haram. So we had a discussion where we talked about having braiding your hair as a man, where we talked about wearing a necklace as a man. We talked about certain things like this, and I was trying to explain that it doesn't fall in the haram. Its rulings would have some attachment before you can make it haram. Bimana, it would have to have some causes. It will have to, maybe if you do it where you are, the place, the time, and it would have to have a major effect. If not, the thing itself is not haram. Because what is not haram, if you make it haram, you have created your own sharia. Al-halalu bayyin wal-haramu bayyin. Halal is clear, haram is clear. So these are just the way the sharia rulings are. They are 5 extreme ends that are rewardable, punishable, and then you come to the middle where you have what is just advice for you to do, what is advice for you to stop, and then in the middle, what is just permissible. There is no item of reward or anything attached to it. So that those are the rulings that we have. I think with this you would have a very good understanding to lay the ball rolling, inshallah.
Now, thank you very much, Sheikh, for
You're
explaining the Sharia to us.
you're
Then,
most welcome.
moving from there, Sheikh, so is it haram or halal to play drums in Islam, or is drumming haram or halal in Islam?
Good. So again, this is with the recent challenge that we are having.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think that even before I say anything, we need to understand the communication of scholars.
Yeah.
Sometimes some scholar will tell you, don't do this, not because the thing is haram, but they are telling you not to do it because what we call saddu zari'a. We will come there, inshallah.
Yeah.
Sometimes they are telling you not to do it because they feel per their ijtihad, per their effort and understanding, they feel like if you do this, it might create something bad. But then the drum itself in Islam, drums, beating drums is not haram.
No.
It's actually preferred in certain instances. If we could put it in mustahab, something that is preferred is we could put it in mustahab,
No.
but definitely not haram, because there are a lot of narrations that come to this effect, and inshallah we'll mention a few of them. This actually is not that much of a large issue to even worry about, because there is a large consensus on it, so it's not really large like that. You find that the Prophet ﷺ, in his presence, drums have been played, and he didn't prohibit it. Since drums were played in his presence and he didn't prohibit it, prohibiting it, you'd have a very big challenge of proving why you are prohibiting it. So you find that in the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ come from one of his military expeditions.
Yeah.
When he comes from this fight, one woman approaches him. Let's take note, a woman, she approaches him
No.
and she tells him, Ya Rasulullah, O Messenger of Allah, inni nadhartu an adriba ala ra'sika bid-duf. I had made an oath to play the duf on your head. On your head, bimana, for you coming back alive.
No.
I've made a promise, an oath, to play the drums when you return back alive to us. And in the narration, one narration, it said to us that the Prophet ﷺ told her, Awfi binadhriki, fulfill your oath.
No.
So the discussion, some scholars said that it is merely because she had taken an oath. That is why the Prophet ﷺ asked her to fulfill it.
No.
So it is not that beating the drum is allowed. But then when you look at it, if she had made an oath to do something that is haram,
Hmm?
will the Prophet ask her to fulfill it?
No.
Of course not. He wouldn't. He would ask her to rather do kafara for the oath that she's taking. So he
No.
asked her to fulfill her oath. In a narration that is even more clearer, the same incident, it tells us that رجع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من بعد مغازيه فجاءت جارية سوداء فقالت. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam returns from one of his fights, and a woman comes to him, a black woman. She comes to him. Then she says, "Ya Rasulullah, inni nadartu in raddaka Allahu saliman an adriba ala ra'sika bid-duf." O Messenger of Allah, I've taken an oath that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings you back peacefully, brings you back safe, I would beat the drums for you, for bringing you back safely. Then فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked her in the hadith, says, إن نذرت فافعلي وإلا فلا. He told her that if you had taken an oath, then do it. If you hadn't taken an oath, then stop it.
Okay.
What do we understand here?
Hmm?
Of course, a woman bringing a drum to come and beat it before the Prophet, before the people, for no occasion, for just coming back from the fight, it's not preferred by the Prophet. But because she had taken an oath on it and the thing is not haram, why not let her just fulfill her oath? قالت إني كنت نذرت. She told him I had taken an oath. فقعد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فضربت بالدف. So Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم sat down and she played the drums. In a hadith that is popularly said, which is, it has a lot of issues, yani not so sahih,
No.
but a lot of people mention it. أعلنوا هذا النكاح وجعلوه في المساجد وَاضْرِبُوا عَلَيْهِ بِالدُّفُوفِ. Yani, announce this marriage and do it in the masjid, and also play drums in announcing the marriage. But
No.
that has been supported by other narrations, like where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us, فَصْلُ مَا بَيْنَ الْحَرَامِ وَالْحَلَالِ الدُّفُّ وَالصَّوْتُ. The difference between that which is halal and haram is the drums and the sounds. Because when you are getting married, yani if it's not marriage and you are just doing relationship, you are doing zina, you
Yeah.
don't announce it. If it is just zina, you don't announce it. But when it is marriage, you announce it. So he's telling us in this narration of Imam Tirmizi that that which separates the halal from the haram is the
Yeah.
drums and the sounds, because they don't just beat the drums, they sing. Not like our singing, but these poems and stuff, the abiyat, the
Yeah.
way we do it, even with our local language, Hausa. So this kind of thing, they do it a lot in the marriage ceremony. It's not supposed to be dull. There's supposed to be some activities and stuff like that. Definitely not activities that go out of the halal fold. So
Okay.
we realize that there is a lot of mention of the drum in the hadith, but you hardly find a place where the drum is mentioned and prohibited. Not you hardly, you don't find actually where it is mentioned and prohibited. But what the scholars have said in all these narrations is that where beating the drums is allowed is in occasions, major occasions like the marriage, particularly occasions like Eid in particular is also allowed. And so some have gone to say that since this is the fundamental that was set, occasions that happened in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and the drums were used, then the drums are permitted in every other major occasion,
Yeah.
which is a good ijtihad. It's a good ijtihad because the Prophet time marriage occurred, they played the drums. And so some will say, okay, since in occasion of joy, the drums are played and abiyat are sung, yani, songs are sung, then it is permitted in occasions where you are having joy. Jamil. We look at the narration of the other narration where a woman who is said to be called Ar-Rubayya bint Muawwid bin Afra al-Ansariya, Ansari from the people of Medina, she narrates that the Prophet ﷺ, during the night of her marriage, the Prophet ﷺ came there and he sat on the bed. When he sat on the bed, there were a lot of these young girls playing the drums and they were singing abiyat, yani they were singing songs in praise of their forefathers who had died in the fight of Badr.
No.
So they will be mentioning their heroes, just like we do here, mentioning our heroes, praising them to revive that heroism, spirit of heroism. Hatta qalat jariya, until one of the girls said something, said, وَفِينَا نَبِيٌّ يَعْلَمُ مَا فِي غَدٍ. And there is a prophet among us who knows what is in tomorrow.
No.
Yani he knows what tomorrow comes with. When she said that, the Prophet ﷺ said, فَقَالَ النَّبِيُّ صلى الله عليه وسلم لَا تَقُولِي هَكَذا. Don't say this. وَقُولِي مَا كُنْتِ تَقُولِينَ. And say what you were saying before. Yani continue with the abiyat you were doing
No.
and don't bring in these things of these items of confusion. So you can see clearly that they were playing the drums, they were saying their abiyat, the Prophet never interjected, but the
No.
moment she did something that is not permissible, the Prophet ﷺ cuts in and tells her, this part is not permissible. So it shows us that the beating of the drum itself is permissible. But what she did in terms of what she was saying, something she said wasn't permissible, and he stopped her. So since it was beaten in the time of the Prophet in his presence, in many faces, he never prohibited it. And he is the Ashara. He is the one that does the Sharia for us from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, communicating from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we can't on our own, since he didn't say it is haram, say it is haram. The only thing we can say is per our own effort, looking at a circumstance and saying that don't play it here. It's harmful in this situation. Like we are in the hospital and you come playing drums that
No.
your patient is doing well. So you want to celebrate him because you are happy.
No.
Then you are playing drums in the hospital. Of course, in that case, we can tell you that is even haram because you are harming people's health. So we
No.
look at the occasion and then we say it is haram. With respect to, we definitely have to make some clarification on what has been happening. With respect to what our scholars have done, may Allah bless all of them,
Amen.
they all parties are looking for what is good. One party on the side that fully permits the drums and motivates it is looking at it like that is a means that we can bring the people in.
Okay.
And it has worked from the time that we grew, what we saw, we realized that the drumming and stuff attracted a lot of people. And some too have seen it that the time that we have gotten in, which is also a good ijtihad, the time that we have gotten in, people are wide awake and are aware of the program and love it by itself. So we don't need the drums to bring it in. What is happening to us that we must caution is look at abiyat like أبى القلب إلا أن يكون متيما حليف غرام بالنبي مهيما أبيت بليل التم سهران منشدا لذكر الذي قد تاب بدءا ومحكما. Beautiful abiyat with beautiful meanings that is so interesting. People, sometimes the mother himself does not understand the abiyat.
No.
And his drama doesn't understand it. And so what happens is that he is just singing it. The drummer is beating the drums anyway. Meanwhile, some of these abiyat, if the best thing we could do is to leave it to just flow raw. Sometimes they beat the drums over the abiyat that the concentration can hardly sit on the abiyat. A lot of the abiyat, like the Ataifun Sara am an narakbiya yammama watina khairin nasi lisayri yammama. Very beautiful abiyat in the Diwan. If you keep beating the drums in that manner, that is just for entertainment. Sometimes it sounds like soloku. I don't know if you know that word on your side. If
No.
you beat it now,
No. But Sheikh, I. But here is the case that, as you rightly said, most of
now,
the people do not understand what is being said. So
now,
based on, we have to listen to it more than playing the drums. Even if we listen to it, we don't understand it. So playing the drums and dancing with it, wouldn't you see it to be better than just listening without any understanding?
no. To be sincere, if you keep on considering the fact that they all do not understand, not everybody do not understand. Let's say
Yes,
I'm sitting
yes,
at the
yes.
ground. I understand. A few people understand. But
No,
sometimes, and even now, a couple of people understand. And the scholars that have been invited sitting there, they understand. So if
no.
we keep on with the concept of, okay, let's keep beating the drum in that manner, of course, there is a way you can beat the drum and the abiyat will still be very audible. I'm saying the part that you beat the drum in a manner that it sounds like soloku, it covers what is being said. And what is being said, even if you don't understand, is very sacred because it is the madh Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's the praises of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's just like somebody is reciting the Quran and you say, oh, because I don't understand the recitation of the Quran, I can be playing something or I can no. Because of the value of the thing, you still need to pay attention. And because we've been doing that same culture of, okay, because they don't understand, let's entertain them with this. When will they
Yeah.
ever seek to understand?
Mm-hmm.
So there need to come a time where the abiyat is being recited. For me, for instance, one of the things that got me interested in learning Arabic language is the Dawawin sit, the Diwan.
No.
Because I used to hear it recited nicely, but I didn't understand anything. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to really understand what is being said. So I felt like, let me also make a move. But if always people's calmness and consciousness is being taken by the soloku kind of beating drums, because the solo kind of beating drums is the one that is just for entertainment, just dance. So in that case, if possible, take out the abiyat. Just entertain yourself with the drums. But if you want to recite the abiyat, and because the abiyat are about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we are the ones that have the claim of reverence, severe reverence for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions, when his name and his abiyat are being mentioned, we must observe some decorum. Because sometimes I see some of them, some are very calm, and I've observed some of them. You see some very calm drumming, some very calm, even not just the drum, they have some very other things that sometimes they play alongside, but you still hear the abiyat very clear.
No.
But the ones that we are cautioning now is when we make it the solo kind of drumming.
No.
In that case, the reverence we have for the abiyat will be far reduced. Now,
No. Okay, but Sheikh, when it comes to the recitation of Abiyat, what I've observed is that the drummers bring the sound down so that the madha can recite the Abiyat very well. So after the recitation, when it comes to the Hausa part, they then play it hard, and with what you were referring to, Soloku. So, but Sheikh, so even with that, are we supposed to say that drumming is not good because someone or some people think that when you play the drums, it is going to overshadow the abiyat? So are we supposed to say that since it is going to overshadow the abiyat, then it is not good?
so the scenario that I set is the scenario where the abiyat is being recited. Because yesterday, just last night, I was
No,
speaking with somebody, and the person played one of these abiyat on the phone, on another
no,
phone. So we're speaking
no,
on a video call. The person played one of these abiyat on a phone, and it was like it was very, and the abiyat was following. And I'm sure you know the sound if you heard it. It's a popular
no,
sound, and
no,
it was following it. And the person asked me, "What is this?" It doesn't sound anything like it has any relationship with Islam to the person. So the person is like,
yeah,
"I've been hearing this. What is this?" And so I was slow to answer. I didn't even tell the person what it is. Because if
yeah,
I went to say that this is the praises of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, person will see me weird. The praises
no,
of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam sounding even more hard than these things. So the scenario I'm setting is where something very important that requires attention is being done, but we overshadow it with the entertainment. That is
no,
not supposed to happen. But when the person is playing the drum and you say that I don't want the drum played here, it is my own ijtihad. I feel like I'm looking at the side where if you play the drum, it would maybe looking at the people sitting there, it's not befitting to uh, play. They don't want to hear it basically because even the Prophet ﷺ in his Sunan, there are some sound that he doesn't want to hear. So that could be the person. Maybe the person doesn't want to hear this. But as we clearly said, it is not haram, and the person cannot say it is haram. So long as the person doesn't say it is haram. The other time we had a session and we mentioned that our problem is how to handle differences.
mm-hmm.
I remember we mentioned that in our previous session, and
No,
I
no,
said that yeah, when somebody says something and the person says it in the angle of macro,
no,
it shouldn't spark a fight. So let's say I'm sitting here and I say that, oh, eating 2 balls of banku is macro. It shouldn't even spark any fight. Look at
no,
this in the mazhab of Malikiya, when you are going to pray and you recite Bismillah Rahman Rahim aloud, it is makruh.
no,
Bismillah Rahman Rahim fa. It is makruh in Malikiya.
no,
Exactly. And but in Shafi'iyya, when you go, it is okay to recite it aloud.
no,
This is a difference of Bismillah Rahman Rahim. But look at
no,
how it is handled.
no,
So we have issues of handling these things when somebody says, okay, in this presence, in this gathering, let it be like this. Because we
no,
have occasions of Maulid even on campus, and we've done the whole lecture with Mala Mutawakkil.
No.
There was nothing. The Madha just comes and does his Madha and go, and the program finishes. So let's say
No.
a program like on campus like this, we are hardly even allowed a place, and
No.
somebody comes and start beating the drum there, even though it is not haram.
No.
At that place, I will move to tell the person that no, don't do it here. So it is just an item of the person's ijtihad and the essence the person sees pushed to it. The person feels like, okay, this is not the time for it. Leave it here. It shouldn't even spark a fight. It should be
No.
academic, even like the way we
No.
are doing now. It
No.
should be academic, giving references. Oh, me too. I think this bait is that. This it should be academic. It shouldn't be anything that should spark any confusion. But also for us that we play it, we don't see any problem with it.
No.
I think when we are playing the drum, we should observe some decorum, because some of us we have to be sincere with ourselves. Some of us we go overboard with this thing, and also the dancing aspect of it. Of course, if it is men gathered doing their dance and all these things, they happen in the era of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. They are not anything weird.
No.
The Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam at a point even took Nana Aisha on his shoulders, and she was watching the people of Habasha, Ethiopia, who were in the masjid playing with their arrows and all that in their cultural way. So, like the way you see the North people, they have a dance. I don't know if it's Damba or something. They will be doing it. It's very
Sambal.
nice. It's that kind of dance and stuff, cultural dance. It's okay. There is nothing wrong with it. But of course, we know when it becomes wrong. When there is mixing, when the women are dancing in front of men, when of course we know clearly the lines that makes it around. But just
No.
dancing to those traditional stuffs, they are very, very okay. No problem with them
No.
at all.
Now,
Now,
so meaning shake. So mean you can prohibit it to yourself, but you cannot
yeah.
tell others to stop doing it.
No, what you can actually do is even dislike it, not prohibit it. The thing is not haram. So you
No.
can't make it haram upon yourself. What you can do is say, I dislike it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can actually dislike it in particular places. Because the danger of prohibiting it is when the thing is, because there are scholars before that have
No.
actually disliked playing it in um, any other occasion other than marriage.
Marriage. Okay.
There are scholars in Malikiya, Shafi'iyya, Hanbaliya, all the four mazahibs. There are scholars that have permitted for it in almost every other occasion.
Okay.
Not scholars of today, scholars of those previous eras. They've they disliked it in certain occasions. They've said that the occasions that the Prophet ﷺ allowed for it to be played, like the marriage, it should stay there. It's the marriage that's supposed to be played. If not, if you play it, it has to be something that you've made a promise that I will play, and then it costs you to play. Some have also said that, which is very important. Some have said that it should be played by just women. So there is a ruling for ضرب الدف للرجال ضرب الدف للنساء. Some
No.
have gone to say that it is only women that are supposed to play the drums. Some have gone to say it is only when a man plays it is permissible because it's permissible for women, because in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, it was women that were playing the drums. So as I'm saying, these are Hakam Sharia. When I come to you and I tell you that, oh, playing the drums in such an occasion is not good, it's fine. It's academic. You also tell me it's good because of one, two, three, four. But the point where we are not still learning is when the person comes to say playing drums here is not good, it becomes an item of fight. And I don't know how
Okay.
we manage to do all these things.
Now, Sheikh, some people are inculcating past grudges to some of these things. And
Ah,
when you listen to Sheikh Amin of Ejura from
mhm.
his presentation,
Yeah.
and demeanor, you could
Yeah.
sense something. And afterwards,
Okay.
most of the people I subscribing to what he was saying mostly are some people. Others think that they don't like a certain scholar through whom
Yeah.
this drumming stuff came into being.
Now,
So, so sometimes I also think that some of the scholars can make their presentations clear that, oh, maybe I just don't like it. It's not that maybe it is prohibited in the religion or the religion talks against it.
now,
So, Sheikh,
so
on that part too, how do you see it now?
yeah, I'm very aware of this thing. If you've looked at my stuff very well, you find it's very hard for me in falling in major programs
No,
because what we've become now, and we must all admit, what we've
no,
become now is that the moment we've become groups, teams with titles.
no,
It's not supposed to be in the list. It's not supposed to be at all. What we do in Ghana, every particular group wants to highlight their own. And this is not a Tijaniya matter self.
no.
This transcends Tijaniya. Even when
Mm-hmm.
you go to the Al Sunnah, the Izala, the
No.
Salafiyah, everybody is trying to highlight their key person.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes instead of getting to a subject intellectually, you find it being more emotional. See, whenever there is a particular Molid or a particular program,
No.
after the program, you find videos of attack to another group.
Mm-hmm.
And so, me, at first, we used to attend these programs left and right. It became difficult at a point when I was interested in intellectual discourse.
No.
The moment you learn and you become interested in intellectual discourse, you start finding certain things boring.
No.
Because when I come and sit and I start narrating stories to you, you are waiting for me to mention a bait and explain it. You are
No.
waiting for me to mention an ayah and explain it. But
No.
I'm telling you stories, telling you past glories, telling you, you start feeling bored. But our problem here is that if only a few people are trying to really learn hard. And as we've seen, Sheikh al-Islam al-Hajj Ibrahim Anyas,
Yes.
all his time was just about knowledge,
No.
knowledge, 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 knowledge. And so if you take his text, you yourself, you appreciate that this man has, you can, you've seen some videos where people who are obvious enemies of Sheikh Ibrahim will attest to his knowledge.
No.
This man is knowledgeable, but we just don't like him.
No.
So our problem is that when we group everybody, every human, no matter how high they hate, their emotional aspect sometimes still controls them.
No.
So it can be Sheikh Amin Bamba Al Faradi, it can be Sheikh any other Sheikh. Tomorrow you see another video of a particular Sheikh who is also
No.
narrating an incident of his issue with somebody. We are not supposed to be carried along these issues.
No.
The issue is supposed to be with them. We are not supposed to be made to see. There are some of us here, some of us now that were born and some problems didn't happen, but they
Mm-hmm.
hate people because of the problems that they didn't witness.
No.
Because their scholars told them what happened and they
No.
started hating each other. This thing as Sufi, you know, Saidi, you know what is funny? In
No.
the definition of the, if you ask a Sufi what is tasawwuf, he will tell you it is the martabatul ihsan in the
No.
hadith of Jibril, where Sayyidina Jibril comes and asks the Prophet, Ma huwa al-Islam? What is
No.
Islam? That is the base. And he asks, Ma huwa al-Iman? That is a higher level. And then he
No.
asks, Ma huwa al-Ihsan? That is the highest. When you ask a Sufi, what is Sufism? He will tell you that that is the martabatul ihsan. That is the level of ihsan.
No.
You have reached the level of ihsan and ta'bud Allah ka'annaka tarahu, and you are still seeing petty problems.
Allah.
So our issue, every human has that emotional aspect of him that wants him to tell you the story that happened, that wants him to want you to support him. When it gets to that point, we have to differentiate that. Okay, we are still waiting to hear some Islamic proof. We are still waiting to hear that ayah, that hadith, and explain it. But that part that has to do with the person's emotions and the person's issues they have and the stories of past glories and all that, that is just stories for us because there are no references to that.
No.
And at this and with this point of it, I don't know when we can be able to correct things. But what saddens me is the youth like us, our friends,
Mhm.
they are
No.
growing up with stuff like that. They are also
Okay.
growing up with stories instead of the knowledge.
Knowledge.
Normally, when we are studying, I normally tell the friends that we study with. When we say we get to a particular point, I tell them, you see this, what scholars are saying in the books. You see what our shuyukh are doing. Sometimes it's interesting. Uh, Maulid in Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, but when you get there, most of the talk is not about Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And Rasulullah, since we've propagated his love and all that, we need to, Sheikh, if we take just the one alone, you
No.
can use it for thousands of programs,
No.
just two abiyat. But so the aspect that Sheikh was narrating, part of it, he hit on the subject and why he disliked that. Part of it are stories that I'm not aware of. I'm
Mhm.
sure some of us, most of us, are not aware of. Those stories, I'll just take it as his own stories.
No.
But the part that he hit on, he disliking it, I'll take it as his ijtihad.
No.
Jamil, that is basically so. See, Saidi, I can go and fight a particular scholar. I'll
No.
come back and realize that that scholar is your father. I've seen such instances. You can
No.
go attack a particular scholar. Later, you meet somebody and be like, "That's my father."
No.
Then you find yourself. So that's why Islam prohibits this. When there is difference, you go extreme. You need to
No.
observe some decorum. We have to. We have to. If our big scholars are making mistakes, if that's a mistake, if they are making mistakes, we should not learn to follow that same line.
Okay.
That has been my campaign since. We shouldn't learn to follow that same line. We should rather learn to see what is in the books.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what the books say? Because even today, we find people creating stories about Sheikh Ibrahim and Chale. Some of them I've seen scholars are refuting these days. They are doing very well.
No.
That he did this, he flew here and he did that. All those things are not karamat.
No.
So we need to correct things. So that is the ruling as we've said per the text.
No.
And we would love that if there is any counter view to what we've said here regarding
No.
its permissibility, we would love that somebody calls our attention. If possible, we can even make it all of us on the program.
No. No. No.
I hope you get that aspect. So that if
No.
somebody says it is not permissible, then you say,
No.
okay, let's do a program where we put all of us together so that we have the view of I that says it's permissible,
Mm-hmm.
and we have the view of somebody that says it's not permissible. Then we look at the text, then we appreciate the subject more.
No.
But after we've done this and I've said it's permissible, somebody goes somewhere and starts insulting me and slashing me. That is not.
No. No. Mashallah. Uh, So, meaning we have to learn how to control our emotions, and whenever we are to talk about Islam, everything we are going to say should be based on the Islamic fact. That's the Quran and Hadithat of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, and
Now,
everything we are going to say should be based on the Quran and that of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As many people were expecting Sheikh Amin Bamba to do, but
now. So that is just it. And I would want to make a fundamental statement. You see,
now Sheikh,
it is not particularly Sheikh Amin Bamba Al Faradi. Of course, his scholarship is well established in Ghana. It's a canker that we need to counter across, because one thing that you might fall in tomorrow. Tomorrow, one other sheikh will come and
now,
do something with just narrations, not
now,
ayat and hadith.
mm-hmm,
So we need to just counter it across.
now,
If it is prohibited, they should make it clear. If it is
Clear to us.
disliked, they should make it clear to us. And that is all. See, this is on the side of it, not to take much time.
No,
Recently, we saw an announcement from the Haramain channel on Facebook, that now
no,
they will do the Taraweeh uh, 10 raka'as, and then they will do the Shafa'i wal Witr, and basically 13 raka'at.
no,
And they will stop the 20 they were doing. There
no,
has been discussions that is the 20 bid'ah or not.
no,
Say no, it's not. It's not bid'ah, because you can just do whatever number you want, even though the Prophet ﷺ was reported to have just done 13, not more
no,
than that. But today they've announced that they are reducing it to the 13. What informed that decision?
no,
Possibly some clarity. So generally, the Islamic scholarship, mostly there is a portion of it that is politics. Sadly, the youth are not able to detect when it gets to politics.
mm-hmm.
Part of it is religious politics. When it gets there, the youth are not able to detect it. Somebody will come and tell you, this particular program that I'm doing is not bid'ah. The one that this
No,
one is doing is bid'ah. Meanwhile, they
mm-hmm.
are all the same.
No,
Somebody tell, if I do it, it's okay. If somebody does it, it's not okay. There is a lot of political. So if you're able to appreciate the text, then you know when it gets to politics, then you save yourself.
no,
Because sometimes you see some scholars you revere so much. If you comment on their stuff, some people send some videos to us, comment on. If you comment on it, it might be more dangerous than you just informing a few people that this is wrong.
no.
So the emotional thing you mentioned about, you must learn how to control the emotions when delivering these things. Is very, very important.
Wallahi.
Extremely,
No.
extremely.
Mm-mm. Now, Sheikh, thank you very much. And
You're most welcome.
your final words so that
Now,
we wrap up the.
my final words to all of us will be that we should take study serious. It is a command from the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It's wajib.
No,
It's wajib, as the hadith has made it clear to us. We have
no,
innamal ilmu bit ta'allum. It's to have knowledge, it has to be through ta'allum. We have
no,
talabul ilm min al-mahd ila al-lahad. You have to seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. Commands left and right. And Islam has been about knowledge since day one. What protects Islam is knowledge. If not, people are just doing all sort of campaigns, taking people along in terms of emotional stuff. Today, we can see even the pastors, what they do, they ride on emotions. Then they
no.
will get crowd. And you'll be sitting there wondering, how does this pastor has a crowd?
Mm-hmm.
Even those ones that you think they are not supposed to have even one member, they have crowd.
No,
So people are using emotions and all that to control people, and people are using some mental skills. But Islam is protected by knowledge. It is just knowledge. You have to, by all means, pay attention. If any subject comes, refer to the text and see what does Islam say about it.
no,
Else, we will continue on this tangent and see, as we've done here calmly, somebody will also set their mic and reply in heat, not to us, but to the other
no,
side.
no,
And it will be a thing of not fedi, kafedi, not fedi, kafedi, then it's over. We've seen this too much. Let's make certain things intellectual. From Egypt, where we studied, no matter how crazy your view is, they will bring you on television, bring a scholar, you would have a religious discussion.
no,
After that, every sane person will know that this is where the subject lies. Like
no,
there's some TV that came in Ghana and they were doing that thing a lot. They were doing these debates, organizing scholars together, and there was one TV like that. See the
no.
way they were doing, that's
Mm-hmm.
how things are supposed to be done. You have this view, I have this view. Instead of sitting in your masjid and fighting each other, why not
Wallahi.
sit together, put the views, scholarly views on table so that everybody would appreciate.
No,
That is my final words to all of us little ones. We should focus on studying to the scholars, malaman na, sabida Allah da annabi. In za
no,
ku yi magana da yan Ghana, kusan kaman Ghana na lamarin ilimi yana da dan rauni. In sa an za a yi magana yadda jama'a za su fahimci, a bayyanar da musu
no,
hukuncin abin inda yake kwance na gaskiya a cikin addini.
no,
Amma kara mai da abin maganganun zage daga nan da zage daga nan da fada. Haka bayan Allah ne ake sa su daji mu, kuma insha Allah Allah zai tambaye ku malaman ya aka yi da ilimin da Allah ya baku, Allah zai tambaye ku. Yasa ku bari mu duba wannan fannin nan. Maudu ya zo a tattauna maudu'in na ilmiyan, kan da wanda ke kasa zai fahimci abin yanda yake matsayin shi a musulunci. Allah ya karba mu duka, ya taimaka mana. Na'am. I think that would be it, inshallah.
Naam, Saidi, thank you very much.
Naam.
May Allah
You are most
actually bless you.
Amin,
Yes.
amin, 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 amin,
Naam.
amin, amin. And bless you too for your
Assalamu
efforts. Wa alaikum salam wa
Naam.
rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.